All right, are we ready to go, everybody?
All
right, let's go.
Brett?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes.
Taylor? Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
All right, excellent. I will take a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve.
Thanks.
I'll second.
Britton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. All right, first thing, the DCAP report.
Yeah, so Mr. Carlson and his team have been working extremely hard. DCAP stands for District Career Academic Plan. He gave a presentation last year, and he's going to give a highlight on some of the major changes that have taken place across the district. So, Mr. Carlson?
So we'll go through this a little bit, just to kind of give you, it's evolved a little bit in terms of what our DCAP looks like. So a couple years ago, we had a 27-page document, and there's different standards within there, and then there's a couple essential components that you go through, but it's really outlining what we do to help prepare our kids for post-secondary success. Last year, it went from 27 pages and turned into a 43-page document last year. This year, we're at 84 pages. I presented last year after we had our scoring. Let's give you an idea. I can scroll through a little bit. We were scored, the scoring is out of 36, so there's 12 scores to get up to 3 points. We went from a 10 out of 36 to a 14 out of 36. They told us you're shooting for 3 points of growth a year. So we got 4, but I was not pleased at all with the 14 when I presented last year because there was a lot of effort that went into it. If you look at it, I mean, there's a district summary, and then you get into your standards. Part of it's your DCAP team, and then a lot of the different things that we do throughout high school and even now in middle school to try to prepare kids for post-secondary success. A couple of things that I highlighted last year that I'll keep on here, that I'll just kind of show you really quick. We talked about post-secondary indicators in terms of graduating class. This was a graph that I showed you that showed how many kids enroll, how many kids enroll for another semester. We talked about some of the things that are on our district report card. Would be work-based learning. If you notice, this is 24 to 25. This is our newer data. The year before, we were quite a bit lower than the state average. That's what this diamond stands for. We've worked really hard at increasing this. We've gone from 19 to 34, but everybody in the state has done the same thing. I expect our number here to increase quite a bit because of different things I'll talk about here in a little bit. You will notice in terms of college credit, we've scored well above the state average. Things that we did well on our prior one or things that we're doing well now, our students' completion of college credits or CCTC, we've really started to dial in what we're doing with that. IJAG provides a lot of work-based learning opportunities, and then our CTE student organization. We put a lot of focus in starting one for the business. We started DECA, and then also with this group here, focusing on something called IRCs, which are industry-recognized certificates. They talk about possibly graduating high school with 2 pieces of paper. You have your diploma and then possibly like a ServSafe certificate, or OSHA 10 would be an example of industry-recognized credentials. We did not report that very well last year because last year, my first year doing this, I call it unconsciously incompetent. I didn't know what I didn't know. We've since found a lot more IRCs that our students are actually receiving that we had received in prior years also. We just hadn't been reporting. Or either, 1, we didn't know it was an IRC, or 2, it wasn't coded correctly in our SCED codes for infant candidates. So we put a lot of work into not only improving what we have and increasing what we have, but making sure that we're accurately representing what we've already done well. The goals for 2026, this was coming into this year, was to improve our process for implementing the DCAP. Last year I did the whole thing almost on my own just because I was trying to learn the process. I didn't utilize our CTE nearly as much as I should have. We've done that more. We're trying to increase our work-based learning partnerships, increase our middle school and high school students' exposure to potential career opportunities, educate all 8 through 12 students on the 5 essential components, and then every student from 5th through 12th grade will engage in our new CIS, which is Zello, which actually goes down before 5th grade. In terms of reporting on the DCAP, we actually have reports on here that goes down in terms of how does Zello help educate our kids on potential post-secondary success. So at the elementary and middle level, it's more career exploration, so getting them exposed to different opportunities that could be available. And if you were to look at the DCAP from last year compared to this year, Zello is a big component in terms of, as a big addition to what we're doing to prepare our kids. Zello actually lines up with the ICAP, which would be the Individual Career and Academic Plan, which is what the DCAP is based on. So they actually have a pacing guide for 5th through 12th grade with lessons that our kids are currently doing. Some action steps I was going to go through. So DCAP scoring, if you look last year, we scored 14 out of 36. There was 12 components that were scored 3 points each. We were either 0 or we were 1 on everything except for one that we had 2 on.
Who's scoring this?
That's a good question. So last year was the first time that we had peer scoring. So we were matched up with another group, and they were scoring ours and we were scoring theirs. This year they're going to do something similar, but instead of scoring all of the components, there's 2 mandatory components, which would be the district summary and the district team. And then you can choose up to 2, or you can choose 2 more that you want to be rescored, and then just keep your other score. At the last meeting, I asked if we could have the entire thing rescored because ours has a lot more than it used to have. And they said yes. So our entire DCAP is going to be rescored this year. Some of the feedback that we got last year on our DCAP was that we had a lot of dialogue and a lot of narrative when it came down to some of the standards, but we weren't proving what we were doing. So let me give you an example. Section 4, work-based learning incorporated into the student's ICAP. One of the things that we didn't do is we didn't put some of our links into what we do in terms of giving our kids opportunities to do this. We have a reflection piece that we have. We also added in, we went through and we started to actually write down the different career exploration pieces that we have within our school. We also added in the different work-based learning opportunities our kids can be exposed to. And then we have some students that do individual work-based learning out in the community. So now there's no reason we aren't documenting or proving some of the things that we are doing. Some other examples I can show you. Let me go down to Zello.
While you're scrolling, can I ask, work-based learning, does it have to be done during school hours, or it can be
No, not, well, we have kids that leave during work. We have kids that actually have work-based learning opportunities that take place, like in our baking class. They have, they can have like a service industry within the class. We have kids that leave school for a few hours that go and do work within the community.
But it can also be done out of school hours.
A lot of our kids that go end up working beyond what school hours would be. So Zello, let me give you an example of all the stuff that we put in just for Zello. We have a link to the website. We have kind of an explanation of what Zello is. Anything that you see bold is specific just to 9th grade. Here are the ICAP essentials that are mapped by Zello. And if you go through here, it shows you grade-wise in terms of the lessons that are provided through Zello and the sequencing and how it matches with each of the standards that are within the DCAP. We also have, I've got so many of these open. The alignment with ICAP. We added in our student life conferences that we started this year, so there's a parent letter explaining it. We have class reflection forms that the students fill out in each class. We have cover sheets they fill out that talk about post-secondary interests and their strengths and weaknesses. And then communication to advisory teachers. Teachers get updated on a monthly basis on what they're supposed to be doing next based on what grade level they have. There's a lot of information in the DCAP. You can take the thing with you if you want to and read through. There's a lot of repetition in here, like Zello. Zello is new for our DCAP, so a lot of this is repeated for grade levels, but then if you look at bolded, we have specific to what that grade level is. We have, it is due April 1st. I think we have peer scoring on sometime the second week in April. I asked that since we're having our entire DCAP reviewed, if they will give us somebody else that's having their entire DCAP reviewed, that way I'm not reviewing 4 sections while they're having to do our entire 84-page time.
I'm not trying to be a smart aleck, but like,
do we care, like, how we score? I mean, that sounds so terrible to say, but I mean, like, I guess what I'm asking is, like, what is the benefit, or?
I will tell you, there's a lot of things that we did not have right within our system to give us credit for things like our I call it the building report card, but it's the
So the Iowa School Profile, this actually bleeds into it.
Okay.
So-
So yes,
We actually, yes, I think to answer your question, we were doing things, but I don't think our report was accurately reflecting what we were doing. So now I think we have an accurate representation of what we truly were providing for our students, and we're moving the needle even further, such as incorporation of Zello, which is a really nice program. And it does actually matter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do need a score that is accurately reflective of what we're doing.
Right. Okay. Cool.
and we do lots of reporting to the state in terms of where they get the information for this. So we were not reporting. It's a simple SCED code for some of our classes that had work-based learning opportunities within there.
Okay.
Part of it is they also changed the definition for what work-based learning is within the last 2 years. So lots of schools are trying to scramble. They tell us at these meetings that it is a work in progress. They want us just to continue to improve. That's why they have that 3-point goal. I'm hoping that we increase by a lot more than 3.
That's what I wondered. Do you have a goal in mind? Or?
They say that they tell us that it's not that's something that we should worry about. We're just working on improvement. I took it personally when we got 14 out of 36 last year. They did add a section. I will show you. They added a section. They added middle school, which actually goes all the way down to 5th grade. This is the new standard number 9, but it is not a scored standard. So this is the first year. There's different pieces within this standard that talk about 5th through 9th, or section 8, expanding middle school career development. So we talked about in 5th grade, consideration, career investigation, you have career connections, you have career intentions. So we have 5th, 6th, 7th grade in terms of what we're doing at those levels.
Is this public? Like, could someone go out and find this on our website or something?
I don't think that
It is
currently
not
is, but
currently on there. It doesn't mean that it couldn't be.
I don't think there's anything in there that we are hiding. We blacked out. So there's some links that have like 2 individual work-based learning opportunities that our kids are in, and we blacked out names on those for the people that are scoring. We can't see the individual names. There's a lot to it.
This is cool.
Feel free to look through it. I will tell you, I've learned a lot in terms of just doing the process.
Okay. Any other questions?
Appreciate your efforts.
Nice
Good job.
We'll see how it goes.
All right, principals. Are you going to give them a break, or are you going to make them?
So I feel like it's been a busy month since the last time we were here at a board meeting, and we had conferences for 2 nights, and I think that's always just a really enjoyable time to have families in to just see how students are progressing and to set goals for the remainder of the year. We met with 97% of our students' families, so teachers are kind of working back whether there was somebody that was ill or not able to make it, just to try and connect with all families in a reasonable amount of time to be able to celebrate and set goals with students. We are doing a little bit of reflecting. I think some feedback that we have received and an opportunity for us to get better is dependent upon different classrooms and or grade levels. Maybe the conference is a little bit different of an experience. So thinking about how we can really make sure that we're creating an experience for all families that they're wanting to continue to come back and have those conversations. So just some reflection that we'll do prior to the fall of next year. We had our kindergarten family night, and kindergarten the teachers had presented last time, and we had a very large turnout. Matter of fact, we did not have enough spaces in the lunchroom to start when we just did a quick overview. So some things that we need to think about through a large crowd, but appreciated that entire families came to enjoy. Not just one parent and a child. So we had a lot of people there. We could not have done it without several current kindergarten families and students facilitating stations. the kids had planned all of that, and so they were really excited to be able to facilitate and run stations with their parents. And I think it also gave a really authentic conversation between different families of what kindergarten was really like. And a lot of feedback on the way out from families that maybe have not had a student through our school district yet or through kindergarten of, this made me feel better about what kindergarten looks like when I leave my child with you all day long, and got to experience that with there as a family. So some things that we probably need to think through with such a large crowd doing that again, but it was a fun night overall. We had, last time we talked about Channel 5 and the weather lab coming. The students had a lot of fun with that day, and then a lot of continued feedback. If people sent in or had participated and done an experiment, you got a pretty neat kit sent from them at home. So it's been something that's continued to be talked about by students, and we really enjoyed that day. Fifth grade planned January, February PBIS incentive that happened also during conference week, and I thought it was interesting feedback. I talked before about how our fifth graders give us just some honest answers about things that can be better, and one of the things that they've talked about is a lot of kids just don't have opportunities, whether it be with their families or at school, to learn how to play new games. And so they chose a game called Dumpster Dice that we thought was a game that all students at the elementary could play, and they could turn in so many of their Bulldog bucks to be able to just play that game with students from their grade level, and that was a pretty positive experience. I don't know how I felt hearing dice for so long being rolled, but the kids, they had a really good time with that. Last week we had our opportunity to do our third time through with the instructional rounds process, and I just appreciate the conversations that continue after from our teachers about how excited they are to not only get into peers at our building, but by the end of the time, if they participate, they see 10 different teachers teaching and using their craft in their classroom. And then I think more so they really enjoy talking about the middle school and high school classrooms that they're able to visit, because you just learn a lot outside of what you're currently teaching, and just build a lot of respect and admiration of what they're seeing from their colleagues across the district. So I would think it's helpful for us to hear some things that we're doing well, but also giving us some things to think about how we can be better as a building. And then the last thing is, after spring break, students are super excited that we will start year 2 of Mileage Club. So they're gearing up for that and ready to get going the Monday after spring break. Awesome.
Just to add a little bit on instructional rounds, at the end of each one we have, so we do, like this time we did elementary in the morning, and then we go back and we talk about reinforcements and refinements and then theories of action, and that's the information we take back to our building to try and grow. And it's been interesting because this year the district has selected 4 different components that we focused on: first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and each of those conversations, from the first instructional round, the second instructional round, and this last one, the theory of action and the direction that we kind of need to move leads right into what that next instructional piece at the district level is going to be. So it's just kind of interesting how that has worked out. We had our second round of student-led conferences, second time that we have done it. We made some adjustments. We sent out a survey after the first one and made some adjustments based on the survey results. Our numbers did go down a little bit. One of the big pieces of feedback that we had after the fall conferences is that I told them that it was a mandatory conference, and so if the students couldn't make it with their parents, they would conference with Ms. Jones and myself. That brought our numbers up quite a bit. They didn't like that we made them mandatory. So we did not say they were mandatory. They were welcome, and we would still give them portfolios, packets they could take home. We want to figure out how we can make it a meaningful night for our parents. It feels like the higher up that we get, maybe the fewer numbers we get. So we want to make sure that we can make it a meaningful night. So we're still taking around ideas. The LT's been talking about how do we drive those numbers so that it's something that our parents and students want to be a part of, make it more of an event. We're kind of in between winter and spring season right now. We've got a lot of things going. Track has been practicing for a couple of weeks. They've experienced about every weather that you can imagine in the last 2 weeks of track. And, we actually have boys that are competing today at UNI. We have girls going tomorrow for indoor track, and then we'll be at Iowa State later in the week. So that's always fun. Middle school and golf will start up after spring break. The robotics team is prepping for their competitions coming up. It was fun at student-led conferences. They brought the robots out. The game this year is they have robots that they pick up balls that are about this big and then they have to shoot them in over a container that's probably 7 feet off the ground. They brought the robots out. They have a kit car and then their competition robot. And some kids were able to drive it around. So we had elementary kids driving our robots and shoot balls all over our main area there. It was pretty fun. But it was quite the buzz for them. Mrs. Myers took 8 events to district speech. They qualified 6 of the 8 events for state speech, so they get to compete in state speech this weekend. That was pretty exciting. FFA went to districts. We took 3rd in conduct, so we're an alternate for state with conduct, but our parliamentary procedure team took 1st, so they qualified for state. They got to practice. I will tell you, I've never sat in parliamentary procedure FFA competitions, but I was an acting judge to kind of help them get ready. They went through it. It felt to me like it was all scripted. I found out after the fact they do not know what procedures they have to talk about and the process they go through. It's just them having to know. I think there's like 10 different pieces that they could cover in their practice meeting, and they get 4. And so it's very impressive. I'd like to think I helped them prepare, but I did not have our spring play is end of March. It's Clue. I'm really excited about it. I love that movie when I was younger, so I'm excited about seeing the play, and our kids are always talented. And then we're prepping for other big events. We got ISAS coming up. We got senior trip coming up. We have prom, and then eventually graduation. So once we hit spring break, it kind of flies by with activities and big events.
This is random. I was going to say, KCCI recently did an article about student-led conferences. I think it was in Marquee. And I wanted to say, hey, Ogden's been doing this. But it was just interesting. They wanted to feature that. So
Yeah, we're going to continue to refine it and see what we can do.
yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else have any questions or comments? All right, let's keep moving. Consent agenda, any questions about that? Anybody? Or any comments that you wanted to point out, Mr. Hire?
No, this is a lighter consent agenda. There's a few personal either hires or resignations. Other than that, it's a pretty standard consent.
Okay, I'll take a motion to approve that.
Go ahead, so moved.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Britton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Mansell,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yep. All right, on to action items. Looks like we have an audit presentation. You've been so patient. Are you?
So
I know this was all fascinating for you for the first 20 minutes.
Last year I had kids that were presenting before, and that was really tough to follow.
Yeah.
Nick Stanley, he's been with the district for a number of years. He's our auditor at Trust Point. He's here to just go ahead and go over this year's audit.
Good. So, good evening. Good to be with you guys all again for this year. So in front of you, you should have a copy of the audit report in that kind of bound folder there. And I'm actually going to get you all the way to the back, page number 64. And while you're doing that, I'll explain why. Because we actually present 2 sets of financial statements for the district. And this is the only schedule in the entire report that gives you comparative year-over-year details. So this is where I like to put them off, just to give you the high-level overview. So when you get there, this is your schedule of revenue by source and expenditure by function. And if you focus on that 2025 column, you got your total revenues towards that top half of the page. This year, for the year ended June 30, 2025, is just under $12,700,000. Okay, you compare that to last year, you're going to see this is an increase of approximately $137,000. All categories of revenue are going to change year over year. There's really 2 areas that you can kind of pinpoint the biggest changes. The first being local tax. This year is about $5.6 million. That is an increase over the previous year of $212,000. Local tax, this is made up of your property tax revenues, your income store tax revenues, things like that. That $212,000 increase was offset by a decrease in federal resources. This year was at $204,000, which is about $259,000 before. $55,000 decrease. That just continues, as you can see, a downward trend. A lot of that would have to do with our COVID relief money. Now, we said those programs have ended year over year. Less funding is available for various programs to the districts. And this is not just an Ogden district thing. This is a state of Iowa school district. So all those combined are going to hit you to about your change in $137,000 in revenue. For expenditures, towards the very bottom there, for the year ended June 30, 2025, this year totaled $12,549,875. That is an increase of just under $200,000 over the previous year. Similar to your revenues, everything's going to fluctuate year over year. The big area where you could see the most change is down that bottom group, the other expenditures. Facilities acquisition, long-term debt, the float. Facilities acquisition, that's the biggest change that you're going to see over the years. This is the district's, capital asset additions. So we had a property purchase this last year. I'm going to say it wrong, but it was Bolenbach. Yep. The construction related to school expansion, elementary gym roof replacement, sanitary sewer systems, a couple vehicle purchases, some vans. That is all under that facilities acquisition. So you can see that activity, especially with expansion continuing, I expect this number to continue to increase over the next year or two. Principal and interest, that continues to go down just because it's continuing payments on the existing debt that's outstanding. Unless the district takes on additional debt, that will continue to decrease. That combined total of all those other expenditures is about $193,000 change over the previous year. So you can see how that $200,000 will consider those other expenditures. With this you'll see here on our opinion letter up front, but we were actually able to issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. It's a clean opinion. It's the best one that we can provide on the statements. And you can flip back a couple more pages to page number 67. This is a schedule of the findings and collection costs by the district. And there's a couple of things I wanted to point out to you. First, under internal control deficiencies, this is a repeat comment, segregation of duties. This just reminds you that management is responsible for establishing and maintaining internal control. A good system of internal control provides for adequate segregation of duties so no one individual handles the transaction from start to finish. Okay, and we primarily have one employee who handles all financial transactions. Understood that with a district this size, it is difficult to hire additional staff to kind of segregate some of those duties. So our suggestion is use your resources that are available. The elected board, other school employees, things like that, just try to step in and help out provide additional oversight when possible. The other item is back just another couple pages on 69. Certified enrollments. There were variances in the basic enrollment data that was certified to the Iowa Department of Education. We just recommend the district review its policies and registration procedures for certifying that enrollment to ensure that it is accurate.
It was a change of one. It was just a change of one.
Yeah, I should mention it's not. It was a change of one student. Typically, what happens is the district every year, October, will go through and count. Those records are then verified against the state of Iowa. Any variances just go ahead and be identified.
Right.
So that was quick. I tried to keep it light for you. If you do have any questions, I'm sure you'll go home and read this along with the document there. If you have any questions, send me some of those session forward to me. I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Any questions right now for him?
I move to acknowledge receipt of the security card.
I'll second.
Burton?
Yes, sorry, did you say my name?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
No, you're good.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes.
Thank you for your time. We
Yes,
appreciate
thank
it
you.
so much. All right, our next
Yeah.
set of guests.
So Rachel and Jesse are here with FRK to go over some more information with preliminary schematics.
We'll pull up the presentation too, but all of the information is also provided in the Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, thank you.
Making a pile.
It may be
Just
right
that
there.
one. Well,
Yeah.
as long as it's that simple.
Everybody is busy.
I'll take that.
Can you guys see? If you can't, we can move the.
Just leave them alone.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Well, this gets going. Just introduce ourselves again. We've been in front of you guys a couple times already, but obviously Rachel with FRK, Jesse with FRK. And we're going to go through, there hasn't been a ton of changes since we met last, because I know we were kind of in the making sure that things were traveling in the right direction, and I think we got some feedback from you guys, but Jesse will go through the plan. Let's hope this starts up here. I'm hooked in the right spot. And that's the other spot is HDMI port, which could be the case. Hold on, we'll try this one. There we go. I think we got it.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll just go through the plan, we'll go through the costing, and again, you have everything in front of you as well to look at, but we'll show you, go into a little bit more detail. So, for those of you who are unaware, this is regarding a renovation to Ogden Elementary. We're working on the lower level as well as the main level. The lower level will be touching about 5,000 square feet, and then the main level will be touching about 5,800 square feet. So this scope will involve using some of the programs that are currently on your main level. So art, computer science, tab, and the media center down to the lower level. We are going to so starting with the media center, we'll be opening up this west side, which it used to have windows, but they got filled in at some point, so we'll be opening that up to provide light into the space. Right now, there's a bunch of walls. It's primarily being used for storage, so those walls will get demoed, reconfigured to kind of what you see here. So in the media center, we have a workstation that we're showing for the librarians to look up books or storage that will only be accessible to the staff. Below that, we're showing a kind of reading room situation, which was mentioned at our user group sessions. The idea of this is to create a kind of quiet, intimate space for students to read, individual breakout spaces. The idea of the media center is to create a space that students are excited to go and read, and just prime them for kind of future skills such as research, reading, etc. We're also showing the tab room, which is going to be relocated. It's larger than what you guys currently have. We're showing some individual spaces as well as opportunities for one-on-one teacher collaboration between teacher and student. You'll see that the media center is quite open. This kind of chunk serves as the corridor, and the idea behind that is to make it feel very open, not like a basement. The idea behind a lot of our moves here are to create openness and transparency, which you'll also see just throughout the moves here. The idea was to create adjacency between these programs, which is something that you guys don't really have now. Something that was mentioned was that it would be nice for these programs to have more interaction with each other, because they do some projects with each other and some collaboration with each other. So creating adjacency and transparency between these functions. So like I mentioned, computer science got moved down. We'll see ample storage, which was something that was mentioned during the group sessions. They're limited by how far they can develop their projects just because they have to tear down every time. So this new increased square footage and increased storage will give them the opportunity to not only further develop their projects, but also their skills. And then the art, kind of the same idea, increased square footage and increased storage needs. Something that was unique to art is, storage for flat paper projects versus like more three-dimensional projects, which isn't really, it's kind of more limited right now. So creating the opportunity for that and creating opportunity for the kids to have more creative freedom. And then what we notice here is a garage door of sorts. It'll be clear for transparency and visibility. But the idea is that these programs can all interact with each other and work with each other as socials. We'll also see art storage, which is nice, ample storage. And then up here is a collaboration room that can be used for teacher work sessions, one-on-one meetings, or also just pulling a kid aside, having a one-on-one chat.
Can I ask you, do you know the capacity of each of the rooms?
Do you want capacity of students, or do you want capacity of
Students, like seated
faculty? Yeah, so we are planning between about 26 students right now per classroom. It can probably hold it can hold more than that, but you guys don't typically do that for your elementary school sizes. So but yeah. Not the TAG though. TAG is a different program. That's a smaller group of students at a time.
Like I actually mentioned, there's currently existing push director, but we'll add another one to supplement.
And this casework, the cabinetry and the furniture you're seeing is just a starting point. We're obviously still working through some of that development. We met with teachers and staff to talk through their needs, and we need to go back to them and say, hey, what do you guys think? What do we need to change and modify? So that will be part of our next kind of design portion, will be design development before we come back to you for construction documents.
So moving on to the mid-level. You'll see that music and genre has not doing much, just kind of solving some existing issues. Like, it was mentioned that there's some sound issues, so we'll be doing some acoustic treatments. And then in the gym, there's a very interesting storage solution. So with that, we'll be creating something custom as safer. Because right now it's like a cupboard on a hinge, if anyone has seen that. So
It'll be easier to use.
yes,
and
better,
functional.
safer. But pretty minimal work in the music and gym. Really the main level entails more so with staff and students classrooms. So we're showing a new kindergarten classroom. It'll be similar to your other classroom in terms of layout, you know. There is a nearby plumbing line, so we'll be able to add a restroom pretty easily. And then we're relocating or reconfiguring the IT situation. The server room will stay for cost and practicality reasons, but this IT storage room is currently the IT office. And then the IT office is new, that's currently your VPO or part of your VPO. So giving more storage to IT and a dedicated work area. We're also showing instructional coach, so this would be nice and ample space for teacher work sessions, some more smaller meetings, but also, as you can see, it fits a decent amount of people. And then you also have these two collaboration rooms. The idea behind that is kind of individual breakout sessions with students. I believe this room right now is being used for speech therapy. So that collaboration room could start with that, or just, kind of moments where you need more intimacy and quiet. And then we're also working in facility working. Right now it is quite large. So reconfiguring that to create a new guidance room. And then the facility work lounge will just be reconfigured to really make sure that we're maximizing our footprint and being productive with our square footage. You'll see some casework got moved, but it will still provide ample storage for the staff. And
And that room is currently used by your staff right now. We're just rearranging it a little bit, making it more efficient, and taking out some of that extra casework that was in there from being a family consumer science room right now. So it's actually still built as a family consumer science room. And obviously, there's lots of space in there that we could recapture and use for other entities like guidance. So we're going to do that here as well.
And then special ed 1 and 2 got kind of reconfigured. They're both larger than what is currently existing. So we're showing in special ed 1, it was noted that we wanted separate or distinct teaching zones or teaching walls. We're showing that, as well as the opportunity to collaborate or to have independent work sessions. And that's also seen in special ed 2 or 2/3. What you're seeing in the middle is independent work zones. So this wall right here would be a half-height wall to still maintain visibility, but it'll provide students the opportunity to work more independently or if they need more one-on-one time with teachers, that is the space for that.
So yeah, everything in color is basically areas that we were expected to be touching for this project. This will be a phased project, so let's talk a little bit. And do you guys have any questions on the floor plans before we go to schedule and budget?
What's the little thing on the door with the basement?
Oh, this was like this one? Yes. Yeah, it was noted that they wanted kind of decompression, de-stress areas, so that's just a sensory swing.
Okay.
Yes.
It's basically it's a newer piece of furniture that they have out there that instead of attaching sensory swing to existing structure, it's actually completely independent of the structure. It's just a piece of furniture you can buy. So it's an option. It gives a lot of people flexibility and option in existing buildings to accommodate that type of need. And sometimes people have IEPs or have student work programs that require a certain need of that. So that would help with that.
So in the basement,
Yes.
the wall between the art and computer science
Yes.
rooms,
This one right here. Yep.
and no, the
This one.
between, yes.
Okay.
This might be getting the horse, the cart in front of the horse, but will there be a series of windows
Yes.
or
Absolutely.
like line of sight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so we right now just show a couple next to the doors on either side. It's really hard to see probably in your small image there too.
I looked really hard.
There's a couple next to the door, there's a couple windows, but yes, we're gonna have a lot more vision through into this space to make it kind of feel like we have some transparency between those two spaces. And we're probably gonna try to be playful with those because this is kind of an opportunity you can be playful with that between the media center and the art and the science. So trying to integrate those two programs together.
Right, like safety issues, right? Just being able to see through,
Yep.
right? And so then you did point out the wall between the two.
Yes. Yep.
Explain that concept to me.
Yeah, so when we were talking about initially, so when we met with teachers initially and started kind of master planning, what are we going to do and how are we going to gain space on that main level? Because that main level really unlocked, right? You guys needed more classroom space just with how you're kind of flexing and flowing some of your grade levels. So the only way that we could really get more space is by figuring out how we can reuse and repurpose the basement. And so in talking with some of your staff, it kind of came to the conclusion that these entities tend to collaborate or could or would be very well to collaborate together on student-based programs, student-based learning, those kind of things. And really when we started diving into specifically computer science and art, they actually have a lot of opportunity to collaborate and actually commingle their classrooms. So the thought, and Amy, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that this would allow them to open up that door and actually do cross learning between the two classes and actually have more time to focus in on a group project together with different entities. So that would give them the opportunities to be able to do that.
So this might be getting way before the
That's
construction side. But in the form of a door, would that be like an accordion or
No, it's a great
like
question.
overhead
Yeah, we
or
were
a
thinking
pocket?
overhead. So down here is going to be a little bit more feeling of an industrial, like not too industrial, right? We want to be playful. We have kids. We want to have colors and fun.
Air compressor,
right?
welder,
Not
cutting
going that
boards,
far. Maybe
industrial.
maybe at the high school level, but we'll probably have open ceilings. Is kind of what I'm going for,
Sure.
or what I'm talking about. So we'll have some open ceilings, but we were envisioning that to be actually an overhead garage door. That's more of a clear panel, or we can even do a translucent panel on that. So it's not completely clear, but it lets light between the two entities.
Okay.
So, but when you open it up, it's free flowing. When you close it, you have two separate rooms, giving you more flexibility in there. And I don't know that we've finalized on what that exact visual transparency is yet through there, but the connection of when it's open is kind of what we've been diving into. But it's a great question.
Is that white triangle just empty space up in
Right here? Yeah. So what we're thinking of maybe trying to recapture some of that space on the lower side with storage. Wait, now you have a duct that actually runs all the way through here, and it's very low right here with the floor change. So we couldn't really build much in that space right now, just the way the duct work is run. So. Great question. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about schedule. Obviously, we're here tonight to talk about schematic design. And then we'll be back in a month. You'll see it's a little over a month for design development. We're going to move fast. Got lots of things to decide, nail down. And then we're going to come back in June after that for a construction document. So that would be coming back to you and asking you, hey, we're ready to go out and send this project out to contractors for bidding. That's what that would be. That's what that meeting is. We're going to print on June 9th. We're going to have a pre-bid mid-June, and then we're going to actually have a bid on July 9th. So that's kind of the schedule, because our hope is to get someone on board. That next meeting, July 13th, your board meeting on July 13th, it might shift. I don't know what you guys do with summer exactly, but we'll get that nailed down. Yeah. So to have that actually awarded and the contract awarded, because we want them to do the biggest demo right away, like before school starts. We want them to get all that, as much as they can out of there before school starts. In the basement only, right? We're only going to touch the basement to start with. So the thought is that we're actually going to have them start construction in that basement during school. Obviously trying to keep entities of the school separate from the school, safety, right? That's important. We got to make sure the contractor has separate access, not access to the school. So that's something we'll work through as well. But that phase is going to last at least till February, sometime in there for the first phase. Then there's going to be a little break because they can't really start on the other spaces on the main level until we get everyone moved down to the basement. And then they can do summer work for the main level to kind of repurpose those areas of the main level. So that's kind of how we're going to do it as a two-phase project. It will still be bid in the same project. So the same contractor will still be doing both phases. It's just going to be on the same project.
You believe it's realistic for them to do the main level improvements?
Yes. I mean, it's going to be crazy. Can they do it? Yes. Have we done it? Yes. Is it crazy? Absolutely. It is a whirlwind. Summer work always is. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy. It is actually a challenge. Everyone will be sweating.
You don't have to worry about weather.
Yes, and the interior work offers a lot more flexibility than exterior work. So yes, we're not reliant on the spring, on the rain, which is can be very detrimental to a project and phasing. But yes, we do believe it can happen. They're also going to have ordered everything for this phase during phase 1. So everything that's a long lead item, things like that, like cabinetry, is always a long lead item. They're going to have ordered this for this phase anyways for your summer phase. So they'll have everything. They have procured everything they need. So really, it's about labor at that point. That's kind of the intention of waiting for this till the end, and we'll have all the products because we know it's going to be really tight. So it's just me coordinating with everyone and their staff and making sure people get their stuff as needed for those. That shuffling that needs to happen.
Do you typically attach a liquidated damages component?
We have not typically done that on public bid projects. Doesn't mean we can't. We have had some city entities have done it. We haven't typically seen it schools do it. But it's, if you want to consider, it's worth a discussion for sure.
So why wouldn't we have a limited
Sometimes you pay for it during the bid number.
Okay.
Because, contractors don't want to lose money, right? So they're worried about losing money, but it all depends kind of on the bid market a little bit at the time too. We do have a fairly good bid market right now. It could change, but right now it's a pretty good bid market.
I'm assuming the beginning of school is kind of a hard date.
Yeah.
So we haven't created the 27, 28, but yeah, I mean, we know it's going to be August 23rd, 24th, 25th. It's going to be somewhere in there. Yes.
So my background's dirt. I was a dirt contractor for a long time.
Then you know all about weather.
Yes. So from my standpoint, liquidated damages really incentivize the contractor to, even if it takes like stupid overtime. I mean, they're like, I would be like, I'm not paying any liquidated damages.
Yeah, it's
So-
definitely something worth thinking about. Yeah, it's not to say we can't do it, right? Just because we
But-
don't typically, doesn't mean we can't.
But at the same time, things may have changed over the years, and the juice isn't worth the squeeze, maybe. But I just don't know. It's been a while for me. But I do know it was an incentive for me personally, because if it was $1,000 a day, a couple days, not that big a deal. But a couple weeks,
Yeah.
it starts adding up fairly quickly.
It will add up very quickly, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, no, I think it's something to talk through more. We don't have to make that decision tonight, so something to still think about. Any other questions on the schedule? So project estimate, you should have the same budget there in front of you. We went through this a little bit last time, but I'll just go through it one more time. We have broken it out into basement renovations, demo, and then main level renovations. You can see kind of the line items there, how much it costs per square foot that we're estimating. With a total, we do have, so I want to explain a little bit the design project and contingency. Just because we're so early in the design phase right now, I have a higher project contingency and design contingency because we haven't fully vetted the full scope of the project. So that number, as we go to the next phase, will come down. So right now it's at 25% because we're just in that initial design phase. We're still working with teachers and staff to make sure we got the right cabinetry and all of those things. So that number right here, some of it may be absorbed into this cost as we move forward because things are changing, but this will also lower. So this is not always going to stay 25% the whole time. It will also lower. I know it's a healthy number in there. We want to lower that.
It will lower to what?
To what?
you anticipated?
So usually we would come up with a number with the owner of what they want to hold in the project contingency at construction document phase. So we would typically have some number that the owner, we would discuss and talk about that makes sense to keep in a project based on some complications. We would be concerned about unforeseen conditions. We're doing a renovation. We want to make sure we have enough contingency in the project budget to cover in case something comes up that is unforeseen. So usually you hold 5% in there of the project total. Now we'll want to look through that as we get again towards those final phases of design to make sure we feel good about that. Does that help?
Change orders. Yeah,
That's what, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're so early in the project now that a lot of things are figured out, but
right.
There might be a wrinkle. Oh, wait a minute.
Yep.
And so you gotta course correct. And it might cost a little bit more. It might cost a little less. Stuff.
Right. We want to make sure again the 2,424,000. Right. We're still trying to stay within a budget, but we do hope this number doesn't go down. That is our intention. Our intention would not be to keep that at 25% the whole time.
What is it on a typical average project?
So at this phase, that's pretty typical. Maybe a little bit. Again, it all depends on the size of the project. We might have less in there if it's a large project. But when we go into construction documents, usually it's under 5% of the total project cost. So when we go into the actual building of the project, we usually, FRK usually has an average of 2 to 4%. project contingency to use on reporting conditions.
But that 2.4 million, as the funnel narrows,
Right.
and this gets to bidding docs.
Yep.
That 2.4 could change.
Yes, correct.
The percentage at bidding docs might be 5% for contingencies after the bid.
Yes, correct.
Some, they tear out a wall and, whatever.
Yep.
So the 2.4 might not change because the design and that process, as that funnel narrows to the bid docs, the staff at the elementary leave talk, and they might like, we want a higher grade cabinetry set because, we want it to be, this is a 50-year investment, so, or whatever. So, does that make sense?
Yes, except, so is the design percentage set? Because this 25% includes both your fees for designing and project contingencies,
Nope.
correct?
Down here, yep.
Okay.
So this is just construction costs of the project. So this is like what on bid we're right now. Let's just say this is already been figured out, and that's just in our total.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're estimating that when the bidder bids on contractor bids on a project, that's the construction number that they're gonna have. Then below here, we go into what we call fixture, furniture, and equipment. We have furniture in there and technology. We just put a rough percentage because we don't quite have that filled out, but it gives you guys some extra room to buy furniture because that's usually by the owner, and buy technology for the space because you'll need more technology for that space. So that number is just kind of a placeholder in there until we get some numbers from the district as we, again, narrow in on the design process. And obviously that's the subtotal there, the just under 500,000. Then down here we talk about soft costs. So these are all physical things. These are more like your professional fees. You will have printing of documents as well, so that will cost some money there. We'll have very minimal testing during construction, if not any, so I might take that out depending on where we finalize our concrete usage of basement, things like that. Reimbursables would be in-house printing for us occasionally, and travel, really. So, but that's kind of what those costs would be. And builder's risk, because the owner will purchase builder's risk for this project. And that's totals down here.
Project contingency, I was wrong, so I misled you a little bit on that. So
Okay.
that
No,
is my
that's-
fault. I'm really glad Rochelle and Matt kind of clarified that for me as well as for everybody else. So
Yeah, so our fees are down here. That, yes, and that is, our fees are based on the construction total, right? So at the end of the day, when the contract comes in, let's say it comes in around this number, it's gonna be about this cost. Let's say it comes in under because we have a good bid marker right now. That number is gonna go down.
Oh, so yours is a percentage of the deal?
Correct, based on construction, yep.
Do you know, I don't even know what is that percentage would be.
It's a little, it's not a straight percentage with us, but it's around 7%. Yep.
At least we're happy about 7%, 25%.
Yeah. No, this is not our fee. No, we do not charge that kind of money. That would be,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that would be great. No. That would not be appropriate for the situation. So hopefully that helps.
Yes.
Okay, so total, obviously all in, right, with everything we see now, again, we're early in the design, we're at about 3.18 million. So, which I think is where we kind of were last time when we discussed as well, and I know we're kind of trying to maybe bring this down a little bit, so again, we'll work on that as we move forward. So, any other questions on cost at all?
So you said 7%.
Yep, it's not quite 7%.
Are there additional professional fees? Like a third party that may occur?
Testing. Like,
So
we
testing.
have testing during construction, that would be like a third-party inspector for any type of concrete report, right, to make sure the concrete is the right composition. We don't really have much ground we have to inspect here,
Right.
so that helps, right? So we don't have to worry about doing proctors or anything like that.
But
A geotechnical engineer.
which leads me to another, asbestos testing.
Yep.
It was remodeled 20 years ago.
Yep.
Probably not going to be much of any, but there might be some.
Yes, and that would be what we would rely on you guys on the testing you've already performed on that building.
So, but you would probably still have to do
If
testing.
the owner, if they wanted to do additional testing, yes. Or if the contractor found, let's say they were tearing a wall apart, right? Because we don't know what's back in the wall sometimes. Sometimes those pipes can have insulation on it that's asbestos, and if we're demoing them, we're going to disrupt that. So if they feel like they find something during construction that could lead to that, the owner would acquire someone to test it, which you just use who you've used in the past, and they would determine whether that is asbestos or not. And then at that point, you would, if it had to be mitigated, you guys would hire a mitigation company to come in and do that.
But we have 5% contingency, so it's covered.
Yeah.
Yo, eat quick. That's
The good thing is was built fairly recently, so we would, the basement would be the only, because a few unknowns in the basement, you could uncover, but we would hope that we wouldn't have very much.
So I asked a question about those walls and those old showers, the girls' shower, those walls. Have you had any more second look at it or any other talks about?
You're talking about on the concrete walls, right?
Yeah.
No, our structural engineer has not come up yet, but we plan to do that on our next trip out. So, yep.
You would
Nope.
make sure
Nope, not yet, but we will, that's our next, this whole area, yep.
it's wonky.
It is a little wonky back there, yeah, it's a lot of concrete, poured concrete, you don't see that anymore, so.
And you guys are feeling good about storage space now, or still not?
So one thing that maybe point out too is up above. Could you go and talk a little bit briefly about just south of the gymnasium and kind of what we're hoping to do?
Yeah, right here. We are adding a storage plus office up here, and that is for your after-school program. And then this PE storage located right here, right off of PE, instead of having to always go to the basement and grab stuff. Right now, that's where the storage is for PE. And then also adding some usable storage up here too will help a lot for that PE storage. So we are adding some additional storage. Whether it will be enough?
And I think down below on the north side, if you want to kind of highlight that too, those storage spaces. So could we have more storage? Yes. But I think that with some of the casework and some of the other that we're really trying to designate, hopefully after you get your structural engineer here, I think it's going to really enlighten us a little bit more on what we're able to do. But I do feel good. It really is dependent on the casework and how much you put in.
So, okay. All right. Disregard.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no more questions or comments, then we need to go ahead and approve those schematic designs.
Yeah.
I move to approve the schematic designs presented in plans and estimated total cost for the Ogden Community School District Elementary School renovation project.
Beautiful.
I'll second
Britton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Mary? Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, while we're renovating, we'll continue.
Yeah.
That. So wait.
So we'll have to have a public hearing.
Do we do an opening? Do we need to do anything before we do that, or just?
No, that's the first piece is the public hearing on the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimated total cost for the parking lot.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So we're about to have a public hearing about the plans, form of contract, estimated total cost. So I will open that now. Are there any public comments? Okay, I will now close the public hearing. I always feel so silly doing that. Like, it feels so fun. Okay, and now, I assume you were going to explain this.
Yeah, so we just would need a resolution, if there's no comments, which we haven't received any. We need a resolution to adopt the plans, specs, etc., that are outlined in there for the middle school, high school parking lot improvement project. It is really the Bishop Engineering's work. It is really approving that, and then the next step, we would look at base bid, alt 1, alt 2, and you guys would make a recommendation on the approval of what the board wants to actually move forward with.
Okay, so right now we're just basically saying, yes, we're doing this.
Yes, and you're approving the plans and all of the specifications and everything in detail, which Bishop Engineering has provided us.
So I think we're all clear on that, right? After work sessions. I think we're good there. So
Yes.
since I think we're past that point, let's go ahead and have a.
Okay, I move to approve the resolution adopting the plan specification, form of contract, and estimated total cost of the Ogden Community School District Middle School High School parking lot improvement project.
I will second.
Beautiful. Britton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. Okay, so now is where we're gonna have to discuss this.
I think this is where we really need to have the discussion and the board's insight. So I have a couple documents that I'll provide for you guys that will help guide our conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that you guys have seen in the past, but I just wanted to kind of bring that forward as we were discussing this item. And then I also have a second document, which I provided for you guys previously, and it's just been updated a little bit based off of some information that we have.
Oh, sure.
Yes. Yep. So a little bit, last Monday, on March 2nd, we actually opened up the sealed bids with Bishop Engineering. We had 9 people issued the sealed bids. They range from 1.45 million, and I'm talking if it was base alt 1 and alt 2. It was a 1.45 to a 1.95. In your board packet, you guys were able to have that information. The document that I provided you, it also references what is included with the base bid, what is alt 1, and what is alt 2, just to remind us of those. All of the sealed bids provided a bid on all of those 3 options, and you can see the subtotals, and then you can also see the overall total. The winning bid was the base bid as well as the overall was Homeboy Enterprise. I actually talked to Bishop Engineering regarding them, and they highly recommended them. And then they actually gave me another school district that is used Homeboy Enterprise as well. I reached out to their superintendent, and they said they've had really great luck with them. So our winning bidder would be Homeboy Enterprise. What the board ultimately needs to do is decide what do they want to do with the project. And I think that is ultimately the flow chart, if we want to kind of discuss that a little bit more. We issued a PEPL note. You guys can see that 4.9 is actually the number that it overall was. By the time you take away the underwriting and bonding, it ended up being a 4.759. You guys can follow that. In speaking with our elementary project, we got that at about a 3.1 million, and that would be design fees, all contingency fees, soft costs, FRK, furniture, etc. So our new balance that we would have for this project would be 1.6 million. You guys can see that in the right hand if you're following it. We moved down to the middle school, high school parking lot, and we did originally have option A versus option B. Through work sessions and through conversation, we never moved forward with, so I kind of just drew a big box on there saying we denied option B. But then simply you have, what do we want to approve? And if you, option A, base, I included the percent fee for Bishop Engineering in here. So it would not correlate exactly what you see in your packet because I also added the percentage that was included in the designer fees as well as seeing the project through. But that would be 1 million, basically 1.1 million for that option A. That would be the base portion. That would give us $542,000 left over. If the board wanted to move forward, they could say accept alt 1 but not alt 2. That would be an additional 384, which would leave us 158,000. And you can go right down the line, and those are all the possible options that the board can do tonight, as far as accepting only the base, accepting the base in alt 1, accepting the base in alt 1 and 2, and then you guys can see those overall numbers that would be remaining. How we wrote the PEPL note was any dollars that are remaining would be allowed for us to do a small project here at the middle school, high school. We were thinking some type of a model classroom to really kind of showcase when we were able to do improvements on this campus, what that might look like, so our community has a better understanding of what that is. So that is the hope with the dollars that are remaining, and that's how it's written actually in our PEPAL note, is to be able to use those dollars in that manner.
I will throw it out there to get the conversation going that I'm not sure I can stomach not accepting all of them. Like, can you imagine, like, doing all
Having a
that
chunk in the
nice,
middle
and then, like,
and still
oh,
old asphalt.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like
It is concrete.
the whole
Yeah.
thing would
I just
Yep,
think
we had
that's
lots of
wrong.
conversations before you were on the board, and Bishop Engineering came back, and it would be a little bit savings, but I think they said, let's go ahead and do it with concrete the first
So
time.
we're getting a better product too.
We are
We're
getting a
not
better
just, is all two, is that asphalt currently?
That is, I don't know what the base is of it, but I do believe that there's asphalt that is on it right now. Yeah.
I agree on all of them.
Yeah, I mean, like, I will die on this hill, to be honest with you.
Good to know.
I'm
All
with you.
two, I don't really care. I'm gonna be honest. Like, well, I mean, I care, but I don't have a strong opinion either way. I have a very strong opinion that if we're gonna do, I mean, I think the community would hang us up if we.
It's
I
nice to
think
know
they
the
would
number.
be
So
furious.
Oh, yeah.
be
Yeah,
accurate
if we
and see
did
what
not
it is,
just
but
do the whole thing.
I agree with you. I think we should for sure do all
Yeah.
one. Does anybody disagree with that? Matt's crunching
Matt, are you opposed to all
We
one?
have to do all.
Okay,
Okay.
good. So that's settled, right?
The one thing that I would point out is that we had very good bids last Monday when they opened up.
Yeah.
I think that the winning bid ultimately was, it was lower than what Bishop Engineering had initially discussed with us. So that is exciting that we were able to get that.
Yeah. So we're talking now, I think it's 70 grand, is that right?
It was 69,000, but by the time you put the designer fees in there, I put it at about 74, 75
So-
if you're looking at. So
That's all two.
all two. Again, it says 69, mine says 74. The difference is the engineering design fees that would be included in there.
Okay,
But
so
yes,
74,000 to repave this. I guess I would have a couple questions. My first question is it in need of that? I don't know. Does it
So-
need of?
If you ask the city, they would say yes, it should be done. It's technically
Well, of
our
course they said that.
it's technically our property, but
Need to be done for what purpose?
So they don't have to do it.
I mean for clearing, I think it would be easier for. I honestly don't know if it's partially snow clearing or just I have to worry about that section of the street for a while, but it seemed like kind of a favor.
But
Is that fair?
Financially, just from a financial standpoint, this will be the cheapest it will ever be
Yeah.
because they are mobilized
They're already there.
to do that section. Should we deny it now and something happens to it down the road, it is our responsibility, and we would have to use cash on hand to do that, which we might not have because I don't have a $75,000 concrete budget in our.
Well, here's another
regular.
question. Are they going to concrete that? Or are they just going to slap some asphalt over it like we always have?
it would be in the design package. It would be a tear out and complete redo.
So like, what could happen to it?
Really?
I mean, theoretically, what would happen to it that we needed to repave it in the next 10 years?
Matt?
Sorry to put you on the spot, but
What are you looking at?
I feel like you're our expert.
You've already announced to us all that you're the crown.
So, Melissa's correct. This is the cheapest we'll ever get done. And then what you just said, but add on 6% a year of inflation, construction inflation. So let's say, we're going to pause for 5 years. Well, that's 6% every year. That is just going to get construction inflation. It's going to get more expensive. Melissa, or Joshua. So let's say, like, I did the math, and with this 84,000 split left over, it's 1.7% of the total projects. Not a lot of wiggle. I mean, it's like, it's pretty
It's
tight.
really dependent on those contingencies that we were talking about previously. It's a higher buffer, but do we need some wiggle room in that project as well?
So are there
That's a good point.
other, you said you didn't have an $84,000 concrete budget.
I do not.
But is there any other accounts that there is some money there? Just like worst case scenario, it's like,
Not really.
It would be
The new-
after our save would be paid off, because we're paying for some to save, and that would be after 2029 and 2031.
Fiscal 32, there becomes more space in our budget. And beyond. In fiscal 32 and beyond. But 29, 30, 31 are very tight, just budgeted out. Not a lot of extra left over in Pebble or Save.
Because we have budgeted out other continual expenses such as A+, improving our fleet, those types of things. So we've earmarked those things that need to do just standard operational business. So because we are paying off our save note, it's going to take until 2029 and 2031 to be able to free up the ability to be able to do a $100,000 all-two project.
When's the last time that was paved or asphalted or what they did to it? Because I feel like there's asphalt out there, isn't there?
There is right now, and I don't know when that was, but it's just very, very confusing because it is our property, but yet the city sometimes maintains it.
But now they want us to tear it all out and put concrete there. For
Well,
$74,000.
I have not heard that from the city.
Okay.
I think when we had maybe our work session, we met with the city, and that was something that they were kind of, hey, while you guys are doing this, why don't you consider doing that project as well?
But we're not
And they
doing
worded it
asphalt.
the way Melissa said, with you've got everything there.
Yep.
But we don't. We're not doing asphalt.
No, it would end up being full concrete.
right there.
So, I mean, am I? Tell me what I'm missing. I feel like I'm obviously missing something because that sounds ludicrous to me. So we're doing concrete here. This city has always put asphalt all over the roads, and they're saying to us, "Well, you already have the concrete, so just tear it all up and make it concrete." But no, actually, you guys are the ones that will have the asphalt machine out and around town. I feel like I'm missing something. Does anyone know what it is that I'm missing?
I drove over there the other day because I wanted to give an honest observation on where it is, and I don't think it's in terrible shape. Now, over time, is it going to deteriorate? It may.
I mean, this
But
idea
right
though
now,
of
at
like,
this point, it is
but
not
you
in
already
bad
have the
shape.
concrete out. Okay, I know that, but that street is asphalt.
so
I'm not
probably, so
getting
my
that.
guess, I don't know, until it gets poured up, you probably will know. But this stretch here is probably original to the school. They poured that in 1968 or 69. And then over the years, they overlaid it with asphalt.
Yeah.
So it's overlaid asphalt, and then underneath that is concrete, original concrete.
Okay, but is that a good use of money to tear it all up and put concrete? I mean, that's what I'm literally not trying to be a brat. I promise I'm not. I feel like I am missing something. Like, I feel like that sounds ludicrous to me. Like, I don't see why you would do that. I mean, but there has to be a reason, right?
My only thought would be on the rationale is if they did that with concrete, then it would be nice and professionally done. They would not asphalt over the top of it.
Okay, now that's fair.
Because now it would be, it is our property, it is our
Well-
driveway, it is a continuation of Bulldog Drive
What
all
is
the way
this
out
right
to
here?
Division.
Like, what is this? Is this concrete?
It will be
or asphalt?
concrete.
It will be fully concrete. The
So
whole
all-
bid
okay.
will all be concrete.
So they're just wanting to keep on going with the concrete.
Yes. Yep. So
Okay.
basically, Bulldog Drive all the way continuing to West Division would be professionally, it'd be brand new concrete. Right now, it has concrete with asphalt over top of it.
Okay.
Some of ours has that, but it's starting to deteriorate. We have potholes, etc. It hasn't probably deteriorated to the level that we have seen, and/or they've made improvements out there.
So what you said you didn't think it was that bad?
I honestly, it was not as bad as what the section of Alt 1 would be.
Yeah.
Yes, where that is truly deteriorating, and hence the reason why we're doing the project.
Do you have a preference either way?
It's tough because I say yes, it's the cheapest we can ever do it,
Yeah.
and yet two, it's not as bad a shape as base or Alt 1.
I just want to add one thing real quick that I I do think with the way the traffic flow is going to be, once everything's done, there's going to be a lot more traffic.
That will be the
that's
primary entrance and exit.
Entrance and exit, you're going to have a lot more traffic on that stretch than you used to have, where normally people are coming out in where.
Where are you thinking?
And I'm on the fence, so.
Are you really? I know me too.
But I just wanted to add that in that it could deteriorate.
Do you guys need James? Would that be helpful at all?
Has he seen it? The current existing?
Yeah, he came out and did it.
So could you speak to like?
He said he's available.
Okay.
Do you want me to put him the call?
Yeah, would you?
Phone a friend.
While she's doing that, so if the city currently maintains it, does that mean if there's a pothole, they bring in an asphalt machine and they're doing the rest of the town and they fix it?
That small
true?
portion.
I mean,
Technically,
right?
no, we're not supposed to.
But have they been?
I don't know.
Is that
Are
why
there
it's
any
in better
I said
shape?
they have it.
But they're not billing you for that.
Okay, I don't think anybody really realize that.
Okay, James is on.
Hey, James.
Hey, James. Hey, James, can you talk to us about the alt two? I'm just going to be honest with you, James. We're all kind of on the fence about that, and so we would love just your perspective on that, if you would.
What is the quality of that, James?
It's okay. I'm not going to say it's great. Like, there are definite cracks, but it's more like typical joint cracks, every 20 feet or so. It's not this, like, complete deterioration that you've got in other portions of the drive and the parking lot. So, could you get another 10 years out of it? Yeah, I think you can. It's probably going to need to be replaced at some point in the 10 to 20 year range. As part of the project, it is absolutely not necessary. We never really included it. We've only added it because at that initial kickoff meeting with the city, they requested it, and they didn't ask for it as any portion of approval. It was just it sort of functions as part of the city street. So they said, hey, would you look at doing that part too?
With that information and knowing that it has another 10-year life on it, I mean, I think that certainly sways me.
Even with the increased traffic.
Oh, yeah.
James.
Yeah.
Hey, James, I have a question. My speculation is that stretch of road, probably that asphalt is an overlay over existing concrete. What's your 2 cents worth on that?
It very well could be. We didn't do a boring in that area because it wasn't on our radar to do, so I don't know for sure. But I mean, it would, with the crack. I'm going off of memory here, but with the cracks, it would make sense that some of those cracks are popping through from the underlying concrete underneath. But I don't know for sure.
So the reason I ask that, if there's existing concrete and, 10 years down the road, the school board at that time potentially would have the option of just doing another asphalt overlay.
Absolutely. Yep.
So with the existing potential concrete there already, it's one heck of a sub-base.
Right.
So.
Yep, you're 100% right. That's a totally reasonable option for the future.
Do you have a concern about the increased traffic on that portion, James? Or do you stand by your 10 to 20 year estimate?
Yeah, I think that goes into the 10 to 20 year estimate. I mean, for the most part, you're going to be adding more bus traffic on there, but not in a way that is so substantial. You're sort of, and part of it would come down to how realistic is the future flipping that bus loop off too. But I don't really see it being a huge factor one way or the other to add traffic because it's going that way anyway right now.
Right.
Yeah.
The buses are still already on that, and it's going to continue that way. The only traffic would be is your light vehicles forward with changing some of that.
Anybody else quick so we can let James go back to his dinner?
Thank you so much. That was helpful.
Thank you, James, for your time. That was really
No
helpful.
problem.
Thanks,
Thank you,
James.
Michelle.
You're thinking of that.
Thank you, Jen.
So, is anyone swayed? Does anybody want to go ahead and?
I'm swayed
I am
if
too.
asphalt later is an option that we're really in.
I think that's kind of what I was confused about. Like,
Gotcha.
so why would we not? That is what I was missing.
That's what you were trying
Like,
to.
that's what
yeah.
I was not connecting all the things. Like, why can't we just put asphalt over it like we always have? So, finish what you were saying, okay, I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I think that put me over the edge where I would want to approve alt 1 and deny alt 2.
Where are you at? Are you thinking that too, Lauren?
Yes, yes.
I've been convinced that alt 2 is not really good.
Not,
Unless, Joshua, you have a strong opinion.
Yeah, unless
No,
you
I
would-
think what James said, knowing that it has a 10-year shelf life on it, yes, it's going to be more expensive, but if we can have that last for 10 years, either with asphalt in the future and or if we're doing other projects, that could be a possibility in the future.
Yeah.
So I feel comfortable with it.
being stewards of the public's money, I just don't think there's enough benefit to what we're doing here.
Yeah.
For alt 2.
And I like the fact that that does give us, $150,000 to $200,000 left over to be able to start doing either some improvements and or some contingency if things were to go high.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's the cheapest you can ever do it. That's fine, but it's still $74,000, which is not like chump change. I mean,
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and move to adopt the resolution making award the construction contract for the middle school high school parking lot project at Homeboy Enterprises for $1,379,512.
so that is acceptable. Yeah.
That would be base plus alt 1.
Yeah, perfect one.
I will second that.
Britton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. Okay, good stuff. That was kind of fun because none of us had it. None of us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
that again.
Appreciate that.
That was great. That was kind of cool. No one had to. We just had to- All right, here we go. Now let's talk the money.
Yeah, so
Do you want me to?
you're certainly welcome and we can bounce off. Go
Okay,
ahead and
yeah.
give me the primary
Yeah,
here.
so there's
Yep.
going to be 4 different motions that we have to make, and it's just approving all of the pieces that go along with the final issuance of those PEPAL notes at the end of the month. So the first one is the appointment of the paying agent, registrar, and transfer agent, approving them and authorizing them to do the things. That's just saying UMB Bank right now takes care of all of our bond payments for our SAVE and our general obligation bonds. We are expanding the scope of their work to also include these PEPAL notes. So we pay them and they distribute the payments for who they're with. So that's what that first one is doing, is appointing UMB Bank to do that. And then we'll approve the tax exempt certificate. So there is one in one of these forms in here is a big certificate we have to file with the attorney and with the purchaser of our bond, saying that we are tax exempt and we're using these facilities for tax exempt purposes. We're not building something random to start making money off of, and we get better rates on our bonds by doing that. So that's that second piece that we're approving. The third thing is the continuing disclosure certificate. That's something we have on file with all of our other bonds. It's just saying if we have, they have 16 defined things that could trigger something happening financially that we need to let our investors know have happened that could affect us both positively or negatively. Like when we've got that money sitting in escrow right now for the general obligation bonds that we're going to call back some of those bonds. That's actually one of those items that will trigger a disclosure. So once that happens, then Piper Sandler puts out a disclosure notice saying, hey, something major financially has happened. They have prepaid on their debts, and that goes out to all of them. So we're just saying if something happens, we are going to disclose that, and Piper Sandler does that on our behalf. That's part of their agreement and contract with the district. And then the final one is just the motion to sell the notes and say, yes, finish with the final proceedings to get our money at the end of March.
A lot.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of legal things.
And all of that has been through Piper Sandler, or it's not Piper, excuse me, Allers, and they've provided us a lot of the documentation and the advice for this.
Well, and you guys have been really transparent, and so like we've gotten a lot of this paperwork. So I think most of us have all had a chance to feel comfortable about it. Is that fair?
I read every single word.
Oh.
I mean, it's a lot of money, but yeah. So we all feel pretty good about it. Yes. Are there any questions?
Go ahead. If there's no questions, I'll make a move to approve the resolution appointing paying agent, note registrar, and transfer agent, approving the paying agent, note registrar, and transfer agent agreement, and authorizing the execution of this.
Britton? Yes. Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. Next.
I also make a motion that the form of tax exemption certificate be placed on file and approved.
Britton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yep.
I will make a motion to that the form of continuing disclosure certificate be placed on file and approved.
Britton? Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes.
And finally, I will make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of $4,675,000 general obligation school capital loan note series 2026 levy tax for the payment thereof and authorizing the execution of the loan agreement.
Britton? Yes. Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. And it's a good thing because you can even imagine we just approved spending all this money and we didn't. That would have been embarrassing. Okay.
That should be the last time that we have to touch that. So thank you guys for that. I believe the money would come March 25th is what, so we received a earnest kind of payment initially, but we will actually secure all those funds on March 25th.
But you kind of needed that, didn't you? Because we were having to pay just a couple of things.
Yep, I need the money.
Yeah, we need March
We need-
25th.
Come on.
Is April
Show us
starting
our
on the work?
Yeah, we're getting going there. I love it. Okay, let's move on to. Let's get going. We're using up a lot of time here. Debt surplus levy.
Absolutely. So this is the ability for us to pre-levy, pay off some of our debt earlier. We have done that in the past. It was originally because the note was not callable until 2026, so it actually went into an escrow account. That has since been callable, so we took all the dollars that previously were in that escrow and we made a significant payment.
We will, May 1st.
May 1st.
They're
Yeah,
callable
so
May
we've done
1st.
that. Now, for this year, what we're able to do is actually do a pre-levy of $470,000. So again, what this is able to do is take initial back payments off back end of a note that we have to be able to pay that in advance.
How much time is being shaved on May 1st? Do you know?
It is.
I think with this one, we take off almost 3 full years of payments.
With the May 1st
With including this 2027 one. So including next year's as well,
Oh, okay.
that takes off 3 full years of payments.
And can I ask, so 270, what would it be if we were only asking people to pay the minimum amount? Do you know what the tax rate would be then?
I believe it was $1.71 or right around, like we have about $1 worth of surplus to utilize towards the levy. Just under $1.
So if we take a house value of $230,000, that would be an average, that family would be paying about an extra $230 a year.
No.
It's not because there's rollback.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the
So-
assessed value, so their taxable value is 40.
It's
Oh.
40. Yeah, the rollback is actually very it makes a big difference in that. Piper Sandler, if you guys are interested in us pulling a 150,000, 200, 250, we can pull that and be able to say if we were able to just levy enough to pay the payment versus levy that full 270, how much difference that would be, and they would actually be able to pull those figures for us.
No,
But
I
there
just-
is rollback, so
Yeah.
it's very interesting because sometimes you say, well, $1 per thousand,
Right.
but it doesn't equate to that. I think
Okay.
that rollback is 58%.
Yeah, so it'll be what, 42%
42%
of your
of it.
assessed value
Yeah.
is what's actually
Wow.
taxable.
you get a homestead credit, and then there is that rollback. So it isn't. It's always interesting that they talk about it as assessed value, or excuse me, per thousand, but that actually doesn't calculate that way.
Right.
Yep.
So if I did the math correctly, on an average home in Ogden, they would be asked to pay about $100 extra. Does that sound right?
I don't know. I haven't
Okay.
done that.
I'm not gonna, what I did is I wrote a note, and I will go ahead and contact my group.
Okay.
For over the year.
For a year, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So there's a bigger picture too, because this number is embedded into the overall levy, which is right around $14.
$13.45.
$13.45.
Yeah, this is one of the pieces of
Right.
So embedded into that 13 change is this number. So we have made a commitment as a board, since I've been on board, we're going to keep our property taxes as same as we can, because we don't want up to 17 and down to 12. So people can actually plan their budgets, they can have a decent idea, there's no surprises, and if it goes up to, it's at 12 one year, and then it goes up to 20 the next, we don't have pitchforks and torches at the door demanding, why is this fluctuating so much? So I'm going to speak on my behalf. If we don't use the levy in this fashion, we would probably tweak the levy in such a way we would still be levying 13 in spare change, just because as a board we've made that commitment.
Yeah.
So in this case, though, a portion of that is going to eliminate debt faster. It seems to be responsible financial planning from the school district standpoint. So,
Well said.
It takes years off, and then obviously the interest that would be a huge.
So that's the wisest spend of that dollar right now, of the 13.5.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
I wrote down a note. I will contact Matt Gillespie, and I think it would be important for us to run some of those to be able to figure out what that is.
Any other questions?
can I add two more cents?
Yeah, sure.
So when we get to the end of that note, I would advocate hard. I'm not going to be around in 10 years or whatever when the seat's paid off. But when this note comes due, I would advocate that we do another general bond obligation type of note to keep the, once again, keep the taxes steady, keep our facilities up and stable, and just keep it rolling.
Another 270.
Yes.
Yeah,
And we would have to go through our patrons.
Right.
Yeah, sure, and all of that, and all that. But I would strongly advocate that we just keep on, let's keep things consistent. Let's invest in our brick and mortar. Let's, instead of potentially when this note comes due, it goes down $2.70. But then 3 or 4 years later,
Now
it
you need
bumps back
something,
up.
and you gotta.
Then you got the last
270,
noise tax.
So
So
it's just
Yeah.
consistency.
It really
Which is
helps.
low, by the way.
It's what we
for
did.
the- for surrounding.
And it's what we did when we when we pulled this general obligation note on. It was when another one was coming out, and that was a big sell and helpful in the community, knowing that we're able to do a $10 million project with no change in your property taxes. It really helps bolster that confidence in a new project without having to pay extra for it.
Right, agreed. I absolutely agree.
Are there any questions about the debt surplus levy?
Anyone?
If not, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the reduction of general obligation school bond series 2017 dated December 1st, 2017, levying a tax for fiscal 2027 for the redemption of general obligation school bond series 2017 dated December 1st, 2017. And all.
I'll second that.
Britt? Yes. Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merrick?
Yep. Okay, on to budget guarantee.
Yeah, so with budget guarantee, we can do regular programming costs times 1%, And if you have increasing enrollment and or if your SSA is high enough, you are over that 1%. If you are not over that 1%, you can go to budget guarantee. And it's interesting, if you were paying attention to the Senate file that was recently passed for SSA, it is 2%, but embedded inside of there is one-time money to help supplant or offset the budget guarantee, the tax burden that would be placed on 199 schools that are going to be on budget guarantee this year. We still need to do the budget guarantee resolution, but ultimately on the back end, the Department of Management will take the dollars that we receive from budget guarantee based off of this year's legislative session, and they will deduct that and reduce that. So what this is doing is it's allowing us the 1% additional growth, and typically that would be a property tax, and that's where it would be realized. But for this year, and maybe this is something they're going to do in the future, that will not hit our patrons. It will actually be money that we receive from the state of Iowa for that portion. But nonetheless, we'd still have to do the budget guarantee resolution to say that we would want the 1% over our programming cost.
Not a whole lot of choice here, quite frankly. Does anyone have any clarifications to make before we take a recommendation right now?
You guys have questions about that?
I think so. I'll move to that the Board of Directors of Ogden Community School District will levy property taxes for fiscal 26-27 for the regular program budget adjustment as allowed under Section 257.14 Code of Iowa.
Second.
Britton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Barrett?
Yep. All right. Local government risk pool program participation.
This is a great thing that we've been able to do. We've done it for a number of years, but it allows our natural gas bill to be paid for. It's an insurance to allow us and to pay for it through management. It locks us in, but also if you have a rough season, maybe a difficult winter, or also natural gas prices go up, it kind of is that insurance plan that you know what your rates are going to be. They actually went down 4% for FY27, which was nice. But this ultimately is a recommendation to continue to use our management dollars to pay for our natural gas because we're able to do that. It protects. If we didn't have this, we would be paying for our natural gas out of the general budget. So this is a good thing for us to have that security, that insurance, to know what our rates are going to be. And it also is a good thing because it does protect the general budget.
All right, I'll take a motion for that.
To approve continued participation in the Iowa Local Government Risk Pool Commission for fiscal year 27 to 72,714.
Second.
Britton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Barrett?
Yes. All right, curriculum adoption.
Yeah, we ran this through instructional subcommittee. We had an hour-long great conversation, but I would tell you that Amy and Shay and our teachers have worked extremely hard vetting out a number of resources and materials for curriculum adoption for social studies as well as for 612 science. So do you want to give me just like a minute overview and or after that, I'll allow you a chance to give an overview. Am I putting you on the spot? I thought you had something prepared.
No, you're fine.
And then maybe you guys could add something if you wanted to based off of our conversation that we had.
I think we worked together this year as a district system to really have a process that we were using K through 12 for both social studies and science. And what's unique about this is that both social studies and science standards have recently changed within the last year or so. So really we're looking at a couple different areas, but one, just the rigor for students, so we're preparing them for the future. Also looking for some resources that were provided opportunity for inquiry, exploration, different types of learning, and then aligned to those standards that we talked through. So Shay really did the heavy lifting of the vetting process of getting resources here within our district, and then we really turn that over to the teachers and the experts to have them really go through and look about like usability for them as teachers, but also engagement for our students, and going through a pretty rigorous just collaboration process with that. And you, I believe, have what we prepared for the committee that we presented. But through the process, we decided not to move forward with anything at this time for science at the elementary, since we're wrapping up the letters training that we've been doing. And the resources currently with looking at the new standards for social studies, the resources just really were not in alignment to the new standards. So we're going to use some things that are provided by the state to get us started. And then science is, for the most part, staying with what they are using with STEM scopes and a few other classes where they changed, and looked at some materials for social studies. So we shared kind of the entire process in detail and looked at materials with both Kelly and Lauren, and they're feeling good about where we're going with both social studies and science.
I would just say the work that, I mean, I don't know who all was on the committees but I mean, the amount of work that you all did was really mind blowing. Like, I'm still processing how much work must have gone into all of that, and vetting out the material, and then responding, and then discussing, and then it's wow. I mean, you just did a lot of work. So
and
thank you for being so
was
thorough.
The teachers, just really digging in and spending the time, and then looking systemically across classes. That was going to be something that moved and created good experiences for our students. So a lot of that heavy lifting for our hearts.
Well, thank you for caring enough to take the time to do all that. It's remarkable. What did you have? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say I was impressed how many people had a hand in this process. So a lot of people that are going to need to implement it and invest in it had a part in choosing it, which I think was really important.
Yeah, good point.
General fund expenditure.
Yes.
But we've allocated about that much money on an annual basis for curriculum adoption. We're trying to get into a 7-year rotation.
Okay. I would take a motion to.
I'll move to approve the recommended curriculum purchases for K-12 social studies and 6-12 science.
Awesome. Thank you.
Second.
Britton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Mary.
Yes. All right. Kind of fun. Foreign exchange student.
Yeah, I'm excited about this possibility. Our board policy talks about 604.8 about foreign student, and really it's the board's decision to approve a foreign exchange student. But we received a request from a reputable foreign exchange student company that really oversees all of this. There's some criteria in our board policy that they have to comply and make, and the company does all of those. It is a resident family, but the state of Iowa, we actually do not get that student as an additional count. So that is something that is worth noting, that we will be educating and serving and supporting this student for free. But I think the value that a foreign exchange student brings to our school and to our community, I think it outweighs the $8,000 that it will cost. So my recommendation, it would be to approve it. I think it's a great opportunity for us to do this.
Does it say what grade?
I don't know what grade Lola's in. It does probably in her program in the packet, but I did not. But Lola is a student from Switzerland.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm glad you guys are here.
We came using the Christians.
Well, we do. How about that?
She could come as either a junior or a senior. We know that if she comes as a senior, she has to get the meningitis vaccine, but so it's only
That's issue. And the AFS does recommend that it's possible to bring her in as a senior, depending on the school board and school policies, because it allows her to participate in like senior nights and like walk at graduation, not graduate, not do a diploma, if that's something that the school allows. Basically, the AFS is, they recommend bringing her as a senior if the school allows, but she's probably better if she be junior. But I think that's a decision that you guys have to make grade level wise, so I don't know the AFS.
What we would need to do is they are going to give us her transcript, and we would probably look and see what is she bringing to the table and what is the best placement for her. So I can't speak to that. I think that would be more of our counselors, and as well as Mr. Carlson weighing in on what's the best placement for her.
How old is she?
She'll be 16 when we
She's here for a year.
Thank you.
She gets here August pitch, if you guys approve it, it's your August village if you're for the full school year.
This is your first time?
Yeah, my family was a lot growing up as a kid. This is our first time.
Cool.
Wow.
I think it's a great way to invest in community.
Thank you for being willing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've experienced it as a building principal, first time as a superintendent. I think it's a great opportunity, and hopefully it has your guys' support.
Yeah, so we would just approve, and then you guys would place
We figure out the
whatever
rest.
grade, all the rest.
Yep.
It's as simple as that.
Perfect. Well, I'll move to approve the application from host family Dan and Rosalie Dubenheim. Sorry.
That's
Okay.
good.
To host student Lola from Switzerland for the 2026-2027 school year.
Excellent.
I will second that.
Right?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. Thank you guys again for coming and introducing. Yeah, we're excited too.
If you guys have questions as things work out, Mr. Carlson is right here. Feel free to reach out to our middle school, high school, and we'll welcome not only you guys as parents, but also Lola.
Yay. Very cool. Thank you. That's great. Policy revision.
Yeah, I think this is just a conversation. I was recently talking to our conference superintendents, and this policy came up, and they were really talking about just goods and services, how they continue to increase in price. And we do have policy that talks about what does the superintendent have authorization for, what needs to have competitive bids versus what needs to be sealed bids. So I went ahead and I went through all of our conference schools and found out where their thresholds were, just to get an awareness for you guys. And we would be, our current policy, the way that it is written, is lower. The thresholds are. I think I made a recommendation below, but ultimately is what does the board recommend or feel comfortable with as far as giving the ability for the superintendent to purchase things without board approval, as well as that second level, what do you feel comfortable with of getting competitive bids, presenting them to the board, you guys make a decision, versus what level do you feel that we need to go through the sealed bid process. I will tell you the sealed bid process is very cumbersome. So the ability to increase that threshold, out of all of them that I'm recommending, that would be the one. Transparency, bring things to the board, allow you guys to decide, bring competitive bids. But having the sealed bid process is very, very, well, it's a lot of work.
Do we pay the sealed bid process?
No,
We
it's just
don't.
a lot of extra. There's, it's in-depth documents, and you have to have a bid opening meeting, and this number would move that to be basically just school buses that would be sealed bids.
So, again, I think it's worth discussion. Wherever you guys feel comfortable, but you guys have the information there on where Ogden is comparative to other schools in our conference.
What would be some examples of ones that are currently a sealed bid that we would have to do that?
I have a great example.
Oh, okay.
We need a new tractor, a new lawn, like the one that Billy uses with the snow blower on it. He just did some preliminary shopping, and the quotes ranged from 38 to 50,000, which then puts that in sealed bids, which is not really something that like tractor implements are keen on doing. So we kind of have halted any of that project right now, because right now that would require sealed bids, which is a silly thing for that type of purchase.
I mean, I have no problem with this. I trust you. If this is how you want it, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Good with it. If there's no other comments, I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of policy 705.1.
Britton? Yes. Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do public comment first. Nobody? Anybody change their mind and want to speak publicly? No? Okay. All right. Board calendar. Do we need to go ahead and pick people?
Yeah, so one of the things that's on the board calendar would be graduation. It seems like it, but it's actually right around the corner. And we just need to identify what board members are going to want to either be at the on the tape, or excuse me, on the stand, as well as specifically who's going to be handing out the graduations diplomas. It was last year we had 3 people with kids, so it was kind of a wrestle. Now it isn't necessarily that
Does
situation.
anybody, do you want to?
I am willing to be there, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm also happy that somebody else is going to.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be there. I mean, I don't care if I hand out problems or not. So, what do you guys want to do?
You did it last year, right?
Matt and I did last year. I mean, I had a strong opinion last year. This year, I don't. I'm good either way.
I've had a 3-year run, so
Yeah, you have.
I'm exhausted. It's been 3 years in the making, and
I'm good either way. I mean, if you guys want to do it, great. If one of you doesn't, then I'll sure do it.
It could be one or it could be two. I think last year you guys kind of tag teamed and passed it off. That worked. It could be one individual. We just need one of the 5 of you.
Typically we do 2.
Yeah, sign me up. Sounds perfect. I should actually, this is the 3rd Sunday in
I believe it is May 17th. May 17th.
Yeah, that is
on
right.
my calendar.
It's written in the board notes. It's official. Can't back out.
It's Lauren and you, or just Lauren?
Yeah, we'll book it.
Okay, Lauren and Kelly.
Yep.
Okay.
And I remember last year Earl did not seem to have interest at all. So I don't think that he'll be offended. Like, I don't think he'll feel like that.
And I assume it's just like handing diplomas.
Yeah.
I don't need to
Yeah, it's very easy. Very easy.
And then the other one is just a reminder, on March 23rd, we're gonna actually run 2 meetings that night, so we'll have a meeting for the property tax hearing. It has to be in its own separate meeting. We'll close that and we'll immediately open a second, special meeting, and that's where I'll have the full budget presentation. We'll approve that, set the public hearing date on that budget, and then any other.
Light business.
Yeah.
Things are really busy right now. If there were to be some light business, we would add it to that meeting because we are considered in a regular meeting for her presentation.
Yeah, and don't forget, y'all, March 23rd.
Yeah, we'll be coming right back from break and we'll have that meeting. If you, by no means you have to, but if you wanted to be able
I would
to.
like to listen to you.
Present. Yeah.
Yes.
I think what we do is I think it worked well for me to call you and then actually just have you present here, and then if you want to engage in it, you certainly are welcome to.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds great.
Is that 6?
Yes.
All right, take it away, Mr. Hare.
We actually had our first AI task force meeting last week. I'm really excited. I got some teachers from the elementary as well as middle school, high school, and then I have 2 students that are on there. So I just wanted to let you guys know we had our first initial meeting. We're really trying to identify our why behind this task force, and then we're going to be collecting some information on readiness of AI implementation with our teachers and start to do some policy development creation. So the board will be brought into the table, and we're going to kind of be able to bring our information to you guys. But I am excited that they are moving forward, and well, I'm going to learn a lot about AI through the individuals that are on the committee, so I'm excited about that. A reminder of spring break, just for everybody here, that we will be going on spring break. Starting Friday will be our comp day for parent-teacher conferences, and then all of next week will be spring break. I had the opportunity to go to a career fair at UNI on Friday, and then I actually was at Iowa State today for 3 hours, and Christine and I had an opportunity to just go and share more about Ogden, and a lot of people actually are not familiar with Ogden, so I think we just tried to plant some seeds and some potential candidates in the future if we were to have an opening. So it was really productive. I think we probably saw 30 to 40 students in both sites, so that was a great thing. And then I have in my weekly update to you guys, I did discuss in the past this activity conference update. Just some information, this has been previously, but currently, Woodward Granger and DMC are in our conference. Before July 1, they actually have been accepted and approved to leave our conference. After June 1, the state of Iowa came in and said all changes in conferences need to actually run through a committee that is through the Boys and Girls Association. Really what's happening is that there are some schools in northeast Iowa that aren't necessarily getting along very well, and they can't find a home for their school. So they have actually said because of this, there's going to be some oversight from the state of Iowa. So now, anytime somebody changes or wants to change a conference, it has to go through the committee to get formal approval. Woodward Granger and DMC did that before, so they don't need that approval. They will be leaving next year. But with that, Martinsdale St. Mary's did request to join our conference. It was after June, so they had to go through the committee. I received a letter that they have been accepted and approved to come in. In addition, Van Meter has requested to leave our conference for the 27-28 school year. So it won't be, Martinsdale will join as Woodward, Granger, and DMC leave. Everybody will be in place, and then that following year, Van Meter will be leaving. So I did receive a letter stating those things. So wanted to give that information to you guys. We are currently happy with our conference. Yep. Yep, absolutely. I believe that's all I have for my update.
Anybody have anything about that? All right. We now have 2 closed sessions, and then we'll come back and adjourn. So it won't be too exciting after the closed sessions. So you might want to hit the road, but